All right, welcome to this week's Traveling on Everyday Spend Points and Miles report. Got a lot of things to cover. It's been a busy week in the news. Want to first thank each and every person for you all support and watching this live stream, whether it's the live stream or it's recorded. Can't thank you all enough in watching the videos. Um, and if you do get any value out of this, please consider subscribing and sharing this live stream with friends. But let's go ahead and get started and see what we have for tonight. So pretty full agenda. We're going to be looking at the recapping where we're at with the July credit card intro bonus offers. We're going to look at the transfer bonuses as well as some additional points and miles opportunities. We're going to look at a couple of targeted offers that I've come across. And we're going to look at the Credit Card Competition Act and some state activity that's going on that I was a little bit surprised by that I want to bring you all up to speed on. Then we'll touch on my first Reddit topic, which is wedding maximization, and the person that put it on Reddit wanted to be audited. So that's what we're going to do. Then we're going to look at Accor Live Limitless. We've talked about them one time before when we were looking at their expansion into the express train that's there in Europe. But this one's going to be looking at an opportunity for if you're staying in Paris during the summer. Then we're going to look at the Turkish credit card. And is it actually worth it? Then Delta and Riyadh Air has a partnership. We'll take a look at that and see what impact it may have. We're going to take a look at the Hilton and small luxury hotels again, because we have another stage that we've crossed that we need to look at. Then we'll look at the Ritz Carlton Reserve Rahman Island that is under development in Abu Dhabi. We got a little bit of time until it comes up, but might be something worth saving for. Then we're going to look at a promotion with Hyatt House and Hyatt Place that may have some people, if you need to top off and maybe get some mattress running in, may be something worth considering. Then we're going to look at Alaska Airlines doing global getaways for the quarter. We've talked about Lufthansa on the monthly basis as well as Air France KLM, but now we need to take a look at Alaska Airlines. And then lastly, the second topic that was asked that I thought was interesting is, should I be using a credit card instead of debit? I think most of us have strong feelings on that, but it's interesting seeing a person's view that's not kind of in this sphere of what that person was looking at. So we'll take a look at that as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So as far as the credit card offers, we still have the Hilton program going on with the Hilton Honors, Surpass, as well as the Aspire through the end of the month. American Express, I always will note about the American Express Gold and Platinum to make sure that you're checking your in private or incognito modes for expanded points, and I still see those each and every week. Then the Delta Sky Miles cards, we've got 1 week left. So if you have any interest in it and it works for you, you may want to look at pulling the trigger on that. And then as far as Chase, I will continue to remind everybody, if you're looking at the Freedom Flex and you're not liking just the $200 that's there, I'm still seeing different opportunities when you're doing incognito mode that you may want to look at considering. We're getting near the end of the British Airways, Aer Lingus, Iberia cards. So once again, if you're interested in Avios, that may be a place for you to look at. But that time is going to be ending soon. We had the Southwest business cards just start about a week ago. And with some proper timing in that spend, if you can do it and if it works for you, may get you real close to being able to maximize a strong period of time to be on the Southwest Companion Pass. Obviously, perfect situation is if you're able to do it in September, get the spend done by December, get the points as of January 1, and then you've got companion pass through 2027. I'm sorry, 2 years. But something to look at if you have interest, and of course, if you got the spend. Then, of course, we have the United cards, which are going to be nearing its end soon as well. If you are in a place where airline cards are of interest and United is a one that you normally would fly, that may be something worth considering. And then, of course, we have the Strata Premier going on, and we're getting to the end. I don't think it's finished yet. I think it's going to be finishing shortly. As far as the City Advantage personal card, once again, if you've got $10,000 worth of spend for those 100,000 American airline points. And then lastly, Barclays, which always has the interesting way to be able to get your welcome bonus of first purchase and an annual fee in the first 90 days. So definitely consider that. And before going to topic 2, want to thank, I see we got Mr. Coco in. Hello, good to see you. Matt, appreciate you stopping through. And John, definitely appreciate you stopping through. And then Fashion Forward, good evening to you as well. Thanks for stopping in. As far as transfer bonuses, as we go to topic 2, not much going on. We still got Aeroplan, and we do have the issue with, for this one, with the card in transfer bonuses. There's also purchase opportunities with Aeroplan as well. But from a transfer situation with Chase, you have through July 31st. In Cathay Pacific, about another week for the 15% July transfer bonuses, even though I've got June listed. And then as far as points and miles purchases, I've been listing this a lot, mainly because I think there's going to be some people that are going to be interested in maybe topping off points, or have a planned vacation where a potentially discounted mile purchase still may be a good option. So let's see what we have. We still have the Hilton Honors program with 100% bonus once you are purchasing 5,000 or more points, brings the valuation to half a cent. And you can get a lot of mileage out of that, that type of value. And especially with the small luxury hotels that we'll touch on tonight that we've talked about before, maybe something if it kind of works out for you, but definitely something worth considering. We've got another week of that, so definitely be aware of the time frame and don't wait till the very end. And then as far as the IHG1 rewards, that we have only a few more days. And right now we've got, I've seen different percentages for this. So definitely check your account to see what you may be at. They had the one promotion where I saw that it was being advertised that you could be up to 100, but I was only seeing 60. Then right now I see 80%. So if you're interested in the IHG1 rewards, go into your account, see what percentage you have to make sure of what would be your type of thing. But once again, a lot of possibility of getting mileage out of the IHG1 rewards, especially for that 4th free night perk if you have that credit card with IHG that gives you that status enough to get that 4th night free. So definitely something worth considering. Marriott Bonvoy, we have not too much more time left with that one. And as I mentioned before, I was seeing that it was talking about 40 and 50%, but I, for myself, was only seeing 25, basically seeing 25 or so for me. So once again, check your account, make sure what may be available for you if you're interested in Marriott Bonvoy points. And then we have Alaska Airlines through July. That's not July 7th. I've got to go back and look at that. I don't know if I meant to have the 17th. So I apologize for that. I will look that up. But it is an active purchase opportunity, up to 60%. Definitely not the best that they've had. I bought a few months ago, that had a higher bonus on it. But if something that you're interested in, and obviously Alaska airline miles are not the easiest to come by, but something to be considered. Obviously, Build is our only transfer partner with that program. All levels of elite members have no annual cap on this, on being able to purchase miles. So the availability is there for you. And then lastly, we still have the Wyndham Rewards that goes all the way through August 9th. May be a good opportunity, especially if you're looking at Vacasa home type of setups. Those can get some very good value, at least from what I've read. I've not been able to do a Vacasa one yet, maybe next year. But if you're interested, there may be some good value for Wyndham Rewards on purchasing miles if needed. And once again, don't I would never recommend to speculate on these type of purchases. Make sure that it's working for you with a plan in mind. And then as far as targeted offers, only a couple of items, as I've mentioned back from last week, but want to make sure to remind is the American Hilton business card, earning up to 25,000 points for through September 30th of 2024. I plan on looking at doing that for myself. Maybe uh, going up to Maryland and seeing if that might be something I can use up there. And then, of course, the Chase co-branded cards. Make sure to put the link in this show as well as I did last week, just to make sure that you're not missing any possibility of some improved spend on your Chase co-branded credit cards. And that is all of those co-branded cards. The one link I'll provide you will be able to be one that you can use for any of them. So, as far as topic five, the Credit Card Competition Act and state activity. This was something most of us have been, won't say most, probably a lot of us are aware of the Credit Card Competition Act, that is proposed legislation, which I'll touch on. But there was an article with the Points Guy, and that channel website has definitely been one that has been trying to promote that legislation not going any further because of the impact it would have on people with points and miles. But there was some states in there that I was really surprised by that I had not heard anything about and want to share it with you all, and maybe you all have heard about it. So, as far as what's going on, this Credit Card Competition Act was originally introduced back in 2022. Senators Marshall, who's a Republican from Kansas, and then Senator Durbin, who's a Democrat from Illinois. Now, this didn't go anywhere in 2022, but got reintroduced in 2023. And there's different talk, but not anything that's happened yet. But basically, the impact that we're talking about that it would have is that it would require the issuing banks that must offer two networks of merchants to merchants to be able to process their credit cards, and it can't be just Visa and Mastercard. Now, the claim that is made by people that support this legislation would be that the increased competition and reduced interchange or swipe fees would basically would benefit merchants and consumers because it would bring those fees down. And those fees represent, I think, it was from a Hilton report back for 2022, was $160 billion. And on the surface, even as a person that is very interested in points and miles, on the surface, that sounds relatively good. But there is a contrarian view of this. First is that the fees on every $100,000 worth of sales have really only increased by $5 from 2019 to 2022. So there's not been this great escalation of these fees on average per $100,000 worth of sales. Now, every dollar does count, but there may not be quite the problem that things are made out to be. The other part of this would end up being is what we look at what happened with when the debit cards were addressed back in 2011. And so those interchange and swipe fees caused a loss to the banks of about $6.5 billion, which is obviously not chump change. But if you remember, as we talk on this live stream, even things as simple as resort fees or baggage fees, we've always talked about that these are for-profit entities. You may take something away, but they'll increase the cost someplace else. They're not about losing money. And so that is essentially what a couple of studies had found was that once that happened, that the banks that had offered free checking accounts with no minimum balance, that share reduced itself from 60% all the way down to 20%. And at the same time, the average checking account fees went from $4.34 to $7.44. And so that is a perfect example of you may take one thing away, but there'll always be something else to make up the difference to an acceptable level for a bank, an airline, or whatever for-profit company it is. And so the view from people that are not for this ends up being that lower income families are actually hurt most, while large corporations and shareholders benefit the most. Now, everybody can have their own take in regards from a politics standpoint, but probably not that surprising. And so when we're doing points and miles, or any of us try to advocate for these, it ends up being where that can be the equalizer for a lot of people, to be able to kind of address that issue, to be able to get their share of of what everybody else needs to spend. So definitely need to look at that. Now, the three states that I read about, which really surprised me, was Illinois, in their fiscal year 2025 budget, signed into law, prohibited swipe fees on state excise tax, sales tax, and gratuity. It's the first of its kind anywhere in the country. And as of July 1st of 2025, retailers will be allowed to seek reimbursement for those costs. So that now, one thing to keep in mind, this is Dick Durbin's state. So if anybody is going to go to that nth degree, it's not surprising that it's Dick Durbin's state. Now, we're not hearing about any of that in Kansas from the other co-sponsor, but interesting to say the least. Now, as far as New York, they have a credit card surcharge law, which that's already in effect, where sellers who supply a credit card surcharge on sales transactions must disclose the total price of the consumer credit card transactions. And then the seller also cannot impose any credit card surcharges greater than what they are charged by the credit card companies. Um, that's regardless if it's a percentage or a fixed amount. Um, I don't have a problem with transparency to let people know what's going on. That's been something that's been talked about in this legislation as well, of trying to keep people informed of what they're paying and why. But it is what it is. And then lastly, Pennsylvania has a House bill that is currently out there that would eliminate their application of swipe fees to the state sales tax. So one thing that we all would have to keep in mind, if there's going to be different states that have different policies of reimbursement of certain swipe fees on certain expenses, and states have does a sales tax that you can't do it there, but you can do it on the excise tax, but you can't do it on gratuity. That is going to make things very complicated for this whole processing if every state's going to have its own policy. And that's a concern that's being discussed right now as well. So definitely something to keep in mind, see what's going on. But I'll make sure to put a link to the Points Guy article that talked about the state activity. I thought it was a good read and good information on it, as well as signing up to petition and such to try to prevent this language from going on as far as that Credit Card Competition Act. So before we go to the next one, wanted to see fashion forward resort fees really need to go away. Most of the time, they don't include anything of value anyway. You're exactly right. It's just a matter of a fee created to make additional money. And even once, same thing again, they've talked about the resort fees of trying to go after that. But there'll always be an expense for them to make up somewhere else. But the resort fees are definitely blatantly just a new charge with no benefit that comes with it. And I see Matt said at least the New York law is about transparency. Completely agree. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think most people would at least appreciate the fact of that the merchant is just trying to make their money back on fees that everybody knows that kind of comes with the cost of doing business. And John ends up saying transparency is a good thing. Yes. I think unfortunately, it's become more of a cliche word where people want to claim to be being transparent, but really aren't transparent. But yes, I definitely don't have any problem with the New York law on that, so that people know what's going on. And I think it probably benefits the merchants as well when they are sharing the expenses that they have to do to run their business. So let's look at the first Reddit topic, topic number 6, wedding maximization, and the person wanted to be audited. I found this very interesting based on how much money it was being discussed and me reflecting back on getting married to my wife 31 years ago of how much we actually spent. So let's go ahead and jump on in. So this person getting married wanted to talk about their expense. Now, they only picked the venue as the expense to talk about, but that expense for the venue is $60,000. I don't know about anybody else that's thought about getting married, have already been married. My marriage was literally zero. There was no cost to getting married, and even the reception was in a community hall that got rented, and my family members made the food for the reception. Was in no place to spend any money, and this $60,000 blows me away. But I'll be interested to see what you all have to say in the comments of if you've gotten married before, how much you've spent on your wedding, or if you haven't gotten married, if you even thought about it, have you envisioned what that cost might be? So definitely ask for you all to put those in the comments and see what you all have to say. Should be a good discussion. So as far as their current credit cards, he has the Chase Sapphire Reserve, an Amex Gold, an Amazon card, and a Southwest Premier. His fiance has the Amex Platinum and what he referred to as the basic Southwest card. Now, the idea that he said was that he was going to look at getting the Chase Ink Preferred to get the uncapped 3x on the travel lodging, plus the 100,000 sign-up bonus, which now has been mentioned is at 120,000 points. And then his fiance would get the Chase Freedom Unlimited card for 1.5% cash back, get the small sign-up bonus, and then 0% interest for 15 months to buy themselves some time and some flexibility to pay this off. So my thoughts on this were the following. One, they need to, and I should make this known, they were basically 55 days out from the wedding. So basically not long at all until this wedding. So would have liked to see them pull the trigger on this thought earlier, and hopefully they did. But one, make sure the venue has no restrictions on the number of cards you can use. I would assume with a $60,000 purchase, they should have no restrictions on how many cards you want to use. But one, they should make sure of that. Two, I would ask the venue if they could do a small charge to the Chase Sapphire Reserve to make sure how it codes. Now he is saying that it will go to lodging based upon what the venue has said. I would definitely, this is kind of a one-shot deal of having $60,000 in spend that you want to make sure you know exactly how it's going to work. And with 55 days left, they might have enough time to go ahead and get that charge and see how it codes to make sure that he knows exactly what point value he's going to be able to get for it. Then third, I would also check if any of the cards being considered would be available as digital that you can use immediately. Because for as many cards, for the cards I would suggest, you need to make sure that you've got enough time, because I would assume that they want the deposit, a significant deposit, or the whole thing done way in a very short time, let's say 30 days ahead of time, probably at the latest. So he doesn't have he has a very small window. Then I would end up saying that the cards I would suggest, and I'm going to make an assumption that they are prepared to pay out all of that money, but they just wanted flexibility, as they mentioned. And I don't think that he really had a deep thought of what his credit limits was going to be as far as the Chase Freedom Unlimited for that card, as well as the Chase Inc. Preferred card of what he or she may actually get. So I would suggest, and I'll be curious of you all's thoughts on the cards you would pick for a $60,000 spend. I would, since he's already shown that he is prepared to get a business card, I would actually spend $30,000. I'm going to assume he has it. $30,000 to have the Capital One Venture business card, and get the 150,000 miles on that. Then I would go ahead and do the Chasing Preferred that he mentioned for the 120,000 miles. That would be for the $8,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. Then I'm going to stick with the business cards because I also don't know what their 524 may look like. The Chase Inc. Business Cash, 75,000 points or $750 cash for only $3,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. And they would get the 0% for the first 12 months if they wanted to spread something around. And then last but not least, the Chase Inc. Business Unlimited, since he was talking about an unlimited card on the personal side, but another 75,000 points, $750 for $6,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months, another 0% for 12 months. So with that, that would be a total of 38, 41, $47,000. That's about as, I think if he had a longer window, I probably could look at other different cards. But I think that, in my humble opinion, that's probably a good maxing of credit cards to be able to do, and he would still be able to convert the Inc. Business Cash and the Business Unlimited into Chase points versus cash. And then, of course, the Capital One Venture business can be its standalone at 2x on all items. So I'll be interested what you all's thoughts of, if you were going to spend $60,000 on a wedding, of how you would maximize your credit card spend and the points and the miles that you would get on it. And also put in the comment section, and this is for people that are listening on the live stream or afterwards, put down what you would do with the credit cards, as well as how you would think you would use that's miles, because there's a lot of miles to be gained. And in that example that I'm just throwing out there, you're looking at 250, 325, that's 400,000 points and miles. There's a lot you could do with that. So I'll be interested in you all's comments of what you all might have for that. Got a couple of comments here. And see, John, yep, 31 years. That's saying something. Appreciate it. It's been, she's had to tolerate me for a lot of things. And so I'm thankful that she's chosen to hang out with me for a while, but we definitely talk about it's a month to month rental. Been saying that for the whole 31 years. And Lonnie, appreciate you stopping through. Yo, yo, great to see you. In fashion forward, I would go the Venture X business. The venue should code as lodging if it's a hotel. Most hotel charges aren't coded differently unless it's a restaurant. I agree. I think that he's done the due diligence on it, but man, I mean, ultimately, it wouldn't bother me that much, because especially if you're gonna get the $30,000 worth of spend on the Venture X, it's all gonna be 2x. I know he was looking at what he's gonna be able to do with the Ink Preferred, but he has no idea what kind of limit he's gonna have on that card, to really utilize it. So, but I think that you make a very good point. I think that it will work, but I probably try not to leave anything to chance, on that. Um, and John, not even lease on you, Damien. Come on. Yes, it's been the running joke for us for literally almost the entire 31 years. And Philly Mo, thanks for stopping in. Caught a ride over here from Call Me Lonnie. What's up, everybody? They appreciate you stopping through. Always like people hitching a ride over here. Thank you so much. So look forward to seeing y'all's thoughts and comments on that. So topic 7 is the up to 3x bonus on the um, Accor Live Limitless for Paris in the summer. We've talked about this before, as I mentioned, when they were going to be having the ability to use their points for a train that they are using. I think it's the Oriental Express, but not the original Oriental Express, but it was beautiful. And running in Europe, forget exactly the locations, but I'll make sure to put that in the comments. So as far as what's going on, all members can earn up to 3x for your stays in Paris, France through September 30th. You do have to stay at least 2 nights. Um, Now, you also must book the minimum of 2 nights by August the 30th of 2024. Now, if you're a classic or silver member, you'll get 2x on your points. But if you're a gold member, it'll be triple the reward points. Now, if you book on now one part, if you ever whoever would potentially look at this, make sure you book through the app, the all.com, because you'll get an additional 20% extra bonus reward points. And being able to maximize this, that is a really good deal if it fits. When we talked about this before, the footprint that's in North America is very little for their resorts. But when you get to Europe, a lot of different locations, some well respected locations. And so, as far as some thoughts, this is if you've ever looked at this, it's a very different redemption system, but can be very beneficial. So, for every 2,000 points that you redeem, will get you approximately 40 euros or roughly $45 towards the bill. Now, of course, since it's 40 euros, that's the fixed amount, but the dollars obviously will fluctuate here and there. Now, this results really in points being 2 cents per point. There are two transfer partners that are for them, and that's Capital One and Citi. Both are 1,000 points for the 500 all Core Live Limitless points. So if you're going to be in Paris through the summer, early fall, might be something to consider because there's probably some good mileage to get out of that. But once again, not a whole lot to be able to do here in North America with that. But want to make sure to bring it out to you. So definitely take a look at that. And then topic 8, we've got the Turkish credit card. And so we have to obviously ask the question, is it worth it? Obviously, always like seeing a new charge card for points and miles. And we all know about Turkish. It's a great airline and points to be able to fly to Turkey. If you can get that unicorn of all unicorns of being able to fly to Hawaii on that fixed amount, regardless of distance, because of the United States being one area. There's something to be said there. But let's take a look at this. So the Turkish Airlines US credit card is now available. Now it's being done through Imprint Bank, so not a well-known bank, at least not for the average person. Um, there is no impact to your credit if you want to see if you're approved, which is a nice touch. The welcome bonus is 40,000 miles with $3,000 worth of spend in the first 90 days. The annual fee is $99. The first 5,000 card holders approved for the card will be issued a metal card. Now, from what I've read, you don't find out once you've applied if you're one of the first 5,000. So you won't know if you got the metal qualify for the metal card probably until you get your card. And then as far as point values, you're going to get 3x on Turkish airline flights and purchases, 2x on dining, groceries, entertainment, and lodging, and then 1x on all other purchases. Now, it is a Visa signature card, so it is coming with trip interruption, cancellation, trip delay, baggage insurance, car rental insurance, cell phone protection, global entry, or TSA pre-check or reimbursement, and then purchase, return, and extended warranty protection. My personal opinion, I'll be curious of what you all's thoughts are. While I'm glad to see that there's a card for it, I don't see it. I just don't. I don't have a lot of expectation of most airline cards anyway, for the most part. Aeroplan obviously is, to me, its variety of multipliers are so much more than most places. Or at least, so we don't have that. We don't get any status, even a low level status, as far as I know, with this card. So that's not too good either. The welcome bonus is not ideal at 40,000 miles for $3,000 worth of spend. I've seen a couple people talk about getting this because they were specifically going to use it to go to Turkey. But I find it a kind of a pass for me. I am interested in being able to fly to Turkey somewhere down the line, but I just don't see the spend getting me the mileage out of this when I can look at cards with travel partners that with cards that have Turkish Airlines as a travel partner. So, but curious what you all's thoughts are. I may be missing something for this. I see Matt has replied, Turkish card is a pass. Yeah. I mean, at least when we were seeing the Avianca cards, there was something we were going to get for this potentially. But I just do not see it with this. But like I said, share your comments and thoughts, and maybe I'm missing something. I'm definitely could be there may be something I'm missing on this. So the next topic is Delta and Riyadh Air for that. And so it's an interesting cooperation agreement that they've done, considering where they both sit. So Delta and Riyadh Air, when of course Riyadh is in Saudi Arabia, signed a strategic cooperation memorandum of understanding on July 9th. Now, Delta will be Riyadh Air's exclusive partner in North America, and Riyadh Air will be Delta's exclusive partner, but in Riyadh, which I thought was very interesting that they didn't say in Saudi Arabia. They just said Riyadh. Now, the agreement is subject to regulatory approval, of course. They'll obviously we'll expect that they'll have co-share agreements, shared maintenance facilities, and a loyalty partnership, which should eventually our eventual goals. And then, of course, then you may be looking at points being able to earn and redeem with each other. Here's the interesting parts. Riyadh Air is not even scheduled to fly until next year. Not a fixed date either, just 2025. So what's everybody kind of getting out of this? So Delta would be looking at nonstop flights to Riyadh and beyond on a single itinerary. No need to second check, no second check-in or claiming luggage in the process, at least is a thought. But it would seem to me, and I'm curious if you all's thoughts on this. I think there's something to the fact that they just said that they're going to be a partner to Riyadh, that they may be looking to pick up someone else from Riyadh to other locations. Um, as far as Riyadh Air may be doing some things, but there may be another partner in there, some to further extend themselves in the Middle East. Um, they like, as I mentioned, likely part. This is likely part of an overall Middle East strategy. And I read one place that they talked about maybe Emirates being tied in somewhere down the line. Now, as far as for Riyadh, Saudia is a fellow SkyTeam member with Delta, and they will be departing from Riyadh's King Khalid's International Airport by 2030. And then Riyadh Air will take the slots that they have there. So we'll have to see what happens with this, or if anything ever happens with this. I mean, this is still at least a year away, and we really have no information of what this is going to be. It may be a nothing burger, or it may be something. So we'll have to just kind of take a look at this together. But maybe you all might see some different opportunities that I'm not necessarily sure of. Um, Going back to the comments, going back to the Turkish card, yeah, no check bags or anything travel related, and you still got to pay an annual fee of $99. I don't get it. And Mr. Coco said it's a mess for me and maybe a grab and cancel after a year. I did get the Avianca cardless card since I fly to Colombia often. That seems like it would be a great card for you going down to Colombia. I mean, getting the potential of the lounge access and all. But yeah, I don't know about that 40,000 miles. I guess if you are really in no concern about 524 or anything like that, then I guess why not? I mean, if the 40,000 miles can be used for something, I can understand it. Then also said it's a meh for me, and got the Avianca card and fly often in that direction. Yes. And then John, I think it's a play for more routes. Yeah, I would agree. I'm just curious of where they will, if they see Riyadh Air taking them further than Riyadh, or is an Emirates or someone else kind of picks up somewhere else from there. So, but I agree about the routes. But yes, definitely continue to share comments and thoughts on that. Next item we got is the Hilton and small luxury hotels. Now, we have talked about this a few times ever since that they announced back in February. So Hilton announced the partnership with small luxury hotels. I must say that I was a person that was disappointed because there was a couple of hotels that I was thinking I might look at, but that was when they were with Hyatt. Then, of course, Hyatt went with the Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and we'll have to just see how that plays itself out over time. But that's another story. But in February, Hilton announced that partnership with small luxury hotels. In June, we started seeing the first test phase of the first kind of tranche of hotels that was going to be available, but they really weren't that available. They just got on the system. Well, Hilton is now up to nearly 400 small luxury hotels and properties on the system, on the way to more than 500. So this is a major dump, I'll call it, into their system. Um, the thing that I really like about this possibility of small luxury hotels, as much as I didn't like seeing it go away from Hyatt, the Hilton appears to have done an excellent job of making sure that members and elite members can truly get something out of their status with small luxury hotels. And as a recap, on a reminder, if you're just a member, you get a guaranteed discounted price, complimentary Wi-Fi, late checkout, bottled water, no resort fees on award stays, which is excellent for just being a member. Silver status, you'll get a 20% elite tier bonus, and that's when you also qualify for that fifth award night free, which is, I think there's so much value when you're getting these fourth and fifth night frees with these hotels that really can kind of get you further with those points. And especially even when we were talking about buying points or the points that you would get on a sign up bonus, really can take you a lot farther. Then we've got gold status at 80% elite tier bonus. You get a complimentary breakfast for two and space available upgrades. Now, of course, you get Hilton Gold with certain cards, including the Amex Platinum, as well as the the business Hilton card, which I've got, gives me that as well. And then, of course, you've got diamond status, which doesn't do a whole lot more than gold, which is a little surprising. Yes, you get bumped up to 100% elite tier bonus. And yes, I'm sure that that space available upgrades will be easier or better for people that got diamond status. But still, on the surface, not a huge difference. Now, when I looked, I found very little availability when I was looking at this, but I need to give credit to Frequent Miler for saying that they actually went on the app and I did not originally. And they found a lot more availability through the app than on the computer. So, and I saw that too after reading their article. So, if you are interested in small luxury hotels, and you don't see what you're, if you see the hotel in the system, but you're not seeing availability, make sure to get on your app and be able to look at that. And you may see some availability on the app. Don't know why. We don't know how long that's going to last before the computer, laptops, and desktops catch up. But definitely take a look at that because I did find a couple things that I would be interested in. Down the line. So, but definitely be interested if you all are how much you all are liking the potential of this small luxury hotel arrangement with Hilton, and if you're seeing a particular hotel that you may be interested in. So, if you are interested in it and going to explore that or have an hotel in mind, make sure to put a note in the comments. I'll definitely be interested in reading about those, and maybe it'll be something to inspire me as well. And then on topic 11, the Ritz Carlton Reserve Rahman Island in Abu Dhabi. So, this is something that we can all plan for if there's interest. So, the Ritz Carlton Reserve is coming to Abu Dhabi. It's going to be 50 private villas between 1 and 4 bedrooms. And there'll be some that will float on the water, which is always nice. I haven't had the opportunity of an over the water villa anywhere yet, but I think you could do a lot worse than do it in an Abu Dhabi. Now, Rahman Island is currently under construction. They are supposed to have villas, luxury hotels, shopping, and dining on this island, but the Ritz Carlton Reserve will be on a quote unquote secluded island within Rahman Island. So now the opening is not happening until 2029. So there is a long time before we get there. So if you find some things, you might find it might be something of interest. Now, I've heard of the Ritz Carlton Reserve. I've not been to one, and I didn't even know much about them. So for those that may not know, there are only 7 of them in the world: Saudi Arabia, Thailand, Indonesia, Puerto Rico, and Mexico. Now, one thing that I read and I checked for myself, which I thought was interesting, is so Abu Dhabi has other luxury brands of Marriott under them. The Edition, which I had not heard of either, St. Regis, Ritz Carlton, and the W are all located in Abu Dhabi. Now, the award redemptions are actually more reasonable than you would think, at least for me, off the cuff. So the W Abu Dhabi at Yaz Island is 50,000 points. I picked November 24th. I took a Saturday, the 9th as a date. And obviously it's a 5-star hotel. While I looked at the W in Philadelphia on the same day, and it was 70,000 points. So, and apparently, I didn't check other hotels, but from what I've read, that there is actually very good value for the higher luxury brand hotels there in Abu Dhabi. Not sure if it applies all to the Middle East, but I found that very interesting. For that, I would have thought that they would have been at least competitive in points wise, let alone maybe a little higher. But 50,000 points for Marriott points, that's doable with some of these sign up bonuses of getting ready for that. So I'll be interested if you all. I'll have a link with kind of a picture that I got from um, of this island being worked on. But it looks beautiful. I mean, as far as where the setting is, we don't know what the villas and such will look like, but we talked about Greece last week, I believe, as far as what was going on there. Now we've got this island in Abu Dhabi. So be interested in what you all's thoughts are about that, and I'll make sure to put a link of the image. Then we go from the reserve program for Ritz Carlton to the Hyatt House and Hyatt Place. So, as far as what's going on, 2x for your stays at Hyatt Place and Hyatt House now through October 15th of 2024. Now you must register before your first day, and it cannot be no later than September 15th of 2024. I'll make sure to put a link in the comment in the description for you to get easy access to go ahead and register, because you just never know. Now, the 2x will only apply to the member base rate of 5 points. So so I say only, but it will go to 10 points. So none of the statuses that you may have and the multipliers, none of that will apply to the 2x, just on the base member point of 5. Now, paid and award nights both qualify. There is going to be a cap of a maximum of 25,000 points, and you do need to allow up to 3 weeks for it to go into your account. My thoughts, it's great that it is not Hyatt does a lot of specific location, specific area type of promotions. This is all over for all 550 locations of Hyatt House and Hyatt Place. Now, as far as a mattress run, probably not. Not with that cap, unless you're close. If you're close to status, then maybe it's worth it. My experience with Hyatt kind of began with probably a lot of people kind of got in with Hyatt was when Built kind of essentially gave away Discover its status, and then you had the rest of the year to get to only doing 30 nights for Globalist. And for me, it was mattress running. Not far from my house, there are 4 or 5 Hyatt houses and Hyatt places, and so I don't even know. I might have stayed there half the time, but I was just basically trying to rack up the nights to get to Globalist status. And so, unfortunately, my status is going to be ending in February of next year. But I will give this token comment for Globalist. The biggest thing I've gotten out of Globalist is the ability to be able to reserve rooms regardless of when I want to do it, with no points, with no points in my bank. So the trip that I'm taking for Christmas and New Year's at the Park Hyatt in Sydney, I was able to reserve that room. Luckily, and it was lucky there was a room available, but I was lucky enough to be able to find the room and was able to book it without the points. And that is a benefit that's not talked about or shown in a lot of literature that you see. So you can end up doing that, and all you have to do is, by the time I think it gets to 30 days out, you have to have it settled up and have the points. But you can literally have a room reserved for a year, give or take, before you have to make that payment. And that helped me a lot for that location. So that's my 2 cents on that for the Globalist status. But nice deal, especially if you're looking for being able to do something with that. And it's not huge pricing for stays. Think 6, 8, 9,000 points is a stay there, depending upon if it's peak or not. So Be curious if anybody is close to a status with that that makes it worth your while or being able to use that. Alaska Airlines Global Getaways, quarter three. Now, I did not actually know that Alaska Airlines actually had any global getaways or anything, any program. And I guess they've only had it for one quarter, but I don't know if they did it in quarter two or quarter one. But let's talk about it. So, as far as this is going to be a quarterly promotion, and it began earlier this year. Mileage plan members can save up to 50% on select award, not aware, redemptions. Now, you must book this between July 10th and July 31st of this year. And the travel must occur between October 1st and January 31st of 2025. Now, there are currently 6 locations that fit within this. So, we'll have a link for this, of course, in the description as well. But let me kind of walk you through what 6 places and what they kind of look like. So the first one is Guadalajara in Mexico. Now, that getaway price is starting at 12,500 miles. Now, the regular price varies by distance. So this one is not going to be one that's going to get you a lot of savings in most cases. It'll probably be marginal, but it's a start as far as being able to see things. The second location is going to be Athens, Greece. Their getaway price is going to start at 25,000, and these are all economy starting prices. They don't seem to, from the little bit I've looked at, it doesn't mean anything. You're not getting any benefits as you go to business or first class. This is strictly an economy play. So as far as Athens, Greece, starting at 25,000 points. Now the regular price starts at 27,500. So once again, it's marginal, but it's there. The next place is Muscat, Oman. Now the getaway price starts at 25,000. The regular price is actually at 42,500. So this is the first one where we're actually seeing that we're getting a pretty good percentage savings. And you're flying, there's an option of flying from Chicago on Qatar going there at the 25,000 miles. The funny thing that I saw was that if you were trying to fly business class, it would be 215,000 points. Now, these are all one way. So it tells you that how funny it is that 25,000 for economy, but 215,000 miles to fly in business. So, which was wild as far as being able to fly Qatar. The third place is Taipei, Taiwan. The getaway price is starting at 25,000 miles, while the regular price is once again 37,500. Now, what I would end up saying for Taipei, and you all have probably heard of Starlux, that is where I'm going to try to do. I don't know if it'll be late next year, but I would like to fly Starlux to Taipei. That they fly out of LAX. EVA Airlines is the normal Taipei flag bearer that you would normally hear about. Excellent service on their flights. Starlux, I've seen a lot of reviews, very good reviews to fly business class. And with Alaska miles, I think it's 75,000 miles one way. You can fly business class to Taipei. So 25,000 miles is good to fly to Taipei. But if it's something of your interest, consider peeking at Starlux too. And then the next place, the fifth place we have is Rome, Italy. So getaway price is starting at 27,500. Now the regular price starts at 27,500 or 35,000 points or miles rather. So once again, not much mileage there. But one thing you definitely want to pay attention to is that there are a number of options available, a lot of different airlines to fly that. But pay attention to the total duration because it's all over the place. as far as how much duration you would be looking at. And then the taxes. British Airways, if you were flying that one, is as high as $333 in taxes one way. There are other airlines you could do it for only $19 for taxes. So if you look at that, please pay attention to that. And then lastly is Delhi, India. 30,000 miles to start versus the regular price of 42,500. So that's kind of the examples. Well, these are the locations for this quarter coming up. So we definitely see that there is some bargain in Muscat and can be for Delhi, and then it's marginal everywhere else. So, but if you don't see something like this quarter, make sure to take a look at the next quarter. But I'll be curious if you all see anything that appeals to you about the global getaways. And then as far as Reddit number two, should I be using a credit card instead of a debit? I thought this was an interesting question because um, probably in most cases for everybody that is on this live stream or in this, of course you're supposed to use your credit card instead of a debit. So, but it was a reminder to me that um, not everybody is immersed in this as some of us are. So let's take a look. So this person provided a lot of facts. They basically said they had a FICO score of 813. They have no credit cards at all. Their average monthly spend was $300 in dining, 800 in groceries, 160 in gas, $300 of travel per month, and then all of their other expenses were $4,000. They are not open to business cards. The purpose of a potential card is to travel through rewards or cashback. They were open to either one of them. The cards that they were looking at was the Chase Freedom Unlimited and the Chase Sapphire Preferred. As far as category spending or general spending, they were really only interested in just general spending. So I'll be curious of what you all's thoughts on this. So I gave my opinions on a one card because, of course, no business cards, and they may only want one card because they don't have any credit cards. So here are my opinions of a one card, two card, or three card setup just for this person. One card, I would look at the Strata Premier. You're going to get 10x on the hotels, car rentals, as well as attractions on citytravel.com. You're going to get the 3x on other hotels, air travel, supermarkets, restaurant, and gas/EV. So I thought that there was a lot of mileage that they could get out of the Strata Premier based on what their spending is, and that they don't ideally want a category specific kind of card, quote unquote, whatever that necessarily meant. But I thought as far as one card to introduce somebody into points and miles, I thought this was a kind of interesting one. So I'll be curious of what you all would suggest if it's only one card. If it's two cards, I would go with the Strata Premier and add the City Custom Cash. The 5X on the designated category, but he's not going to be restricted to just one category. So curious of what you all would do if it's two cards. And then lastly, three cards, Strata Premier, City Custom Cash, and then I would bring in the Capital One Venture X because it would give some additional travel benefits, the lounge access, as well as having a 2X card, and nothing that's too crazy for things. So I'm curious of what you all would recommend to this person for this. In both of these Reddit topics, I'll make sure to put the link to the Reddit there as well if you want to be able to jump in and share your thoughts in the Reddit comments as well. But I would also encourage you to provide your thoughts on this and let us know. So that is kind of where we're at. I don't know. I want to make sure if there's any questions or thoughts that we should touch on or discuss or anything. I definitely want to make sure to do that. So if anybody has anything, definitely let me know, and we'll pick that up. But I'll just give it a quick minute. I see. Let me go back to here real quick. So Mr. Coco, Avianca Star Alliance is 1 to 3, transferred to go One World. Oh, yes. Okay, I had to think about that for a minute. Um, 1 to 3. Wow, wasn't necessarily sure about that one. Okay, and appreciate it, John. Always do appreciate you signing through. So, since it doesn't appear to be anything. Think the options were were not bad. Yeah, I think that's the thing. There's probably a lot of ways to go through it, but I always find it interesting to hear if somebody's going to kind of put themselves out there to give their thoughts and what's going on, to see what their thoughts are and to get you all's views on it because everybody's going to have a different idea, and I think that we can all learn from each other. So, once again, thank you all so much for being on the stream. I'll make sure to be putting this together in the chapters and having it up shortly. So, everybody have a great day and stay safe.